Hello, I'm Jefferson Saki in the eastern Chinese province of Shandong, one of the two provinces visited by President Akufo-Addo in his just-ended state visit to China, and also his participation in the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation held in Beijing. This is the world's second largest economy, China, a country that was once one of the poorest in the world. Agriculture, industrialization and technology has turned the fortunes of this Asian nation around and is today a global marketplace. The deep historic bond between Ghana and China was nurtured by pioneering leaders such as Mao Zedong, founding father of the People's Republic of China, and Kwame Nkrumah, Ghana's first president, and other succeeding leaders. And this has resulted in a 58-year-old tradition of friendship.
China and Ghana have very, very strong relations of friendship and cooperation dating back to the very early years of our independence. So any opportunity for a Ghanaian leader to interact with the Chinese people is something that we welcome very much. Right at the beginning, the time when Chairman Mao Zedong was in power in China, Kwame Nkrumah was our president. They forged a very close link. And ever since then, Ghana and China have been on a very strong path of cooperation and brotherhood. I believe that there is a synergy between Ghana and China in terms of our history. There is a synergy in terms of our goals. It wasn't so long ago that China too had to make this big quantum leap for development, which is what we are trying to engineer in our country.
Saturday, the 1st of September 2018, the Great Hall of the People, China's legislative and ceremonial edifice, prepares to receive Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo on a state visit ahead of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation. China's elite ceremonial guards march in preparation. Children with flags of the two countries walk into the welcoming auditorium. Chinese President Xi Jinping and his spouse graciously welcoming President Akufo-Addo and First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo. The bilateral meeting between President Xi Jinping and President Akufo-Addo highlighted on cooperation between the two sides. President Xi expressed that he is prepared to work with President Akufo-Addo to ensure the relations between Ghana and China take the lead on the African continent.
You know, today China is our biggest trading partner. Historically, until the last few years, 3-4 years, our biggest trading partners were our former colonial masters, the British, with the European Union. Today, China is our biggest trading partner, and China is cooperating with the development of our economy across a broad range in agriculture and industrialization, especially in infrastructure development, in health and education, across a broad range of sectors of our economy. We have very active engagement with the Chinese government and Chinese companies in Ghana, and they are very much part of this process of economic and social renewal that is taking place in our country.
The two leaders witnessed the signing of 8 agreements, defining the strength of Chinese cooperation with Ghana in the immediate years ahead. It includes a $2 billion Sino-Shore Framework Agreement, which will enable Sino Hydro Corporation, a subsidiary of Power China, to finance and participate in major infrastructure, road and railway construction projects.
See, when the president talks about the Ghana Beyond Aid, he is driving Ghana towards a new development regime or paradigm, which moves us away from over-reliance on development aid to a new regime anchored on trade and investments. Now, if that is indeed the case, then what we are seeing in China with this FOCAC and this whole focus on China-Africa collaboration, it is not talking about development aid as such. Actually, the focus is on how China supports Africa to expand trade and investment.
For the addendum, let's welcome the Honorable Minister of Roads and Highways, Mr. Kwasi Amoado-Atta, and the Executive President of Power China, Mr. Li Yanming, to sign the agreement. China and Africa share one destiny, and we're engaging in close relationship and cooperation, and we are making win-win progress and development. And the friendship between China and Ghana can date back to a very long time, and we enjoy close ties. And this time, during your state visit to China, Mr. President, you and President Xi Jinping has raised the ties between China and Ghana to a new level, therefore giving us the best condition in history for the enterprises of the two countries to engage in deeper and wider cooperation. One of the brand of Power China, Sino Hydro, has entered the Ghana market in the year 2004, and we have achieved the confidence and trust from the Ghana government and people. So we have successfully undertaken some constructions of some projects, and we have built the single largest hydropower station currently in Ghana and probably in the whole West Africa region, the Bui hydropower station, and therefore enhanced the confidence and trust of the people and government of Ghana to us. And Power China has noticed that Your Excellency, Mr. President, you are actively promoting the development of infrastructure in Ghana, including the sectors such as transportation, housing, and energy. And also you are promoting the economic development. Therefore, we believe that we are presented with the opportunity to provide services to the implementation of Your Excellency's blueprint and provide services to the economic and social development of Ghana.
The Bui Dam investment was roughly about
$400 million. So that was when I was foreign minister. Now I'm president. So the arrangement should be even bigger.
所以我们之间的这个合作应该更加的广泛。
And that's why we're here today. We're very, very determined on this Sino-Hydro arrangement. And we're counting on you in the way in which you work with Bowie Dam, the higher quality work, that will also be a feature of the arrangements that we're making with Sino-Hydro. And therefore Ghana too is very keen on providing as much support as possible to make the Sino-Hydro arrangement come on stream quickly. For small countries like ours, a world which recognizes a multilateral approach to the resolution of international problems is a more comforting one. It's a more reassuring one than the ones where everybody is going it alone. We don't subscribe to it. We believe that the open system, the world of free trade, on the basis of well-acknowledged principles and rules, has served humanity well.
Next on the President's itinerary, meeting with the Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China, Mr. Li Qingshan. President Akufo-Addo was hopeful that his visit to China will reinvigorate Ghana-China relationship and provide the opportunity to contribute to the success of the FOCAC summit.
Our main concerns, as you know, have to be with the cooperation that we have been receiving from China in the development of our infrastructure. Is not taken into account not just roads, or hopefully railways, but also our telecommunications. We are very anxious that the Chinese government supports Huawei, the Alpha 2 project of the Huawei Corporation. It's an important development for us in our telecommunications infrastructure. And then also, of course, the oil and gas developments that we want Chinese interests to focus on. So we have many things that we want to do. The most significant of which, of course, is the Sino-Hydro transaction.
The flag of almost every African nation was on display at the Great Hall of the People, where President Xi Jinping welcomed leaders from Africa, where China is consolidating its economic influence.
支持非洲在2030年前
President Xi Jinping's 40-minute address brought a standing ovation. He pledged $60 billion more in funding for Africa. That's on top of the same amount he promised 3 years ago in Johannesburg. President Xi also had a word for critics doubting China's trust.
We do not interfere in the internal affairs of African countries, impose our will on African countries, or attach any political conditions on economic aid, nor do we seek selfish political gains.
First of all, the principles on which China is engaging with Africa. It's important. Every nation has its own principles, and he set it out very clearly that he's seeking a relationship of equality, he's seeking a relationship of partnership, he's seeking a relationship of friendship, and that therefore will influence the rest of his policy and posture towards Africa. So that was very important. The spirit with which he spoke, the clear identification with Africa's position that you found in him, his own sincerity. For me, that was the most impressive aspect of the speech.
Now, for us, it is also important to have China as a partner in all this, because China is playing a very constructive role on the African continent in helping the African continent to develop, but not develop only as a country that wants to take resources, but as a partner. China is an equal partner to all the countries that are part of this FOCAC meeting, and it's a partner in development. It's a partner in economic growth. It's a partner in advancing the interests of all the countries in Africa, as well as China itself.
In Africa today, it is hard to find a country not touched by Chinese investment. Since 2000, the continent has been a recipient of more than $100 billion.
We are saying everybody, in our view, should be friendly. But those who choose not to be, we have no cause to have trouble with them. We will continue to consolidate the goodwill which we are receiving from other capitals in the world. And again, I should say that there is now a transition to a new world order. And those who don't see it, they are blind. We in Zimbabwe realize there is a transition, and we must ride on that transition to the new world order, the vision that is coming up, where Africa as a continent is going to play a big role.
This Forum on China-Africa Cooperation is an embodiment of two major priorities of the United Nations: to pursue fair globalization and to promote development that leaves no one behind in the context of a rules-based system of international relations supported by strong multilateral institutions.
The 2018 summit of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation ended with a declaration on building a community with a shared future. The forum also approved an action plan for cooperation between China and the African continent over the next 3 years. Since 2007, China has advanced its railway sector. The China Railway High Speed provides service to 29 of the country's 33 provincial-level administrative divisions and operates over 25,000-kilometer passenger tracks in length, accounting for about 2/3 of the world's high-speed rail tracks in commercial service. A railway plan that President Akufo-Addo is hoping his administration can study from. Thousands of miles away from Ghana, and Chinese citizens in Shandong pick up magazines with information on culture and investment in Ghana.
Our drive to become a leading agro-industrial nation
It is the Ghana Shandong Business Forum, aimed at wooing Chinese investors into Ghana.
There is a Chinese proverb which I've come to like since my arrival in China, and it says, if you desire to walk fast, then walk alone. If you want to walk far, walk with someone. In our quest to build a progressive and prosperous Ghana, we're drawing inspiration from the success stories of countries like China. We have resolved to walk hand in hand with China and her business community because we desire to walk far. Within the circumstances of the 21st century, we continue to maintain a raw material producing and exporting economy. There will be no prosperity for the Ghanaian people in the short, medium, or long term. That is why we're following the model embarked upon by the so-called Asian tigers, including China, by modernizing our agriculture to enhance its productivity, by formulating and implementing a clear industrial policy, and by rationalizing the financial sector so that it supports growth in agriculture and growth in manufacturing and industry.
While in China, President Akufo-Addo visited a number of Chinese technological facilities. China's leading cloud computing company, which also happens to be the #2 company in China's information technology, Inspire Group Company Limited, has chosen Ghana as its preferred destination in West Africa for the establishment of its regional headquarters.
And with that, we end today's edition of the Presidential Diary, brought to you by the Communications Directorate at the Presidency. www.presidency.gov.gh is the official website of the Presidency. You can also log on to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as on YouTube for more on the President's Diary. I'm Jefferson Saki, this week in the Eastern Chinese province of Shandong. See you next time.